Welcome to the Creative Chats Podcast with Mike Brennan. Welcome, friends, to another episode of Creative Chats. It's the podcast for artists, makers, and content creators where we talk about creativity, the creative process, and story. I'm your host, Mike Brennan. You can connect with me on my website, which is mikebrennan.me. And while you're over there, check out the daily creative habit resources I've created with you in mind. See, as a fellow creative, I know what it's like to struggle with consistency in your creative efforts, to not actually realize the things that you want to see put out into this world, whether it's a body of work in painting and music, perhaps you're an author, baker, dancer, entrepreneur, whatever it is that you're making, we need to make deposits in the creation process. And it's not going to get done unless we show up to do the work. And so many of us, we struggle with showing up, choosing ourselves, especially if there are passion projects or things that are happening outside of another job. It's hard to show up and choose ourselves. There are a lot of competing priorities for our schedules and for our attention. And so I've created resources to help you, such as the Daily Creative Habit Journal, which I talk about all the time on this podcast. It's a 90-day experience that is self-guided, so you can set intention and then take some actions and check in on yourself, track and measure what your progress is so that you know that you're actually doing something and it's leading someplace. And then there's also this podcast. There's a free Facebook group for Daily Creative Habit, as well as I do creative coaching. So if that's something of interest to you, you can reach out on my website. Again, it is mikebrennan.me. Now, for this episode, I want to share something that's a little bit more top of mind and real time, honestly. And so this isn't scripted. This is just something that I've been thinking about, something that has emerged from a conversation or two and my own experience, past and a little bit present. And that is, as creative people, we need to stop giving away our power. Yes, you heard me right. We need to stop giving away our power. Now, what I mean by that is, you as a creative person, you come up with these amazing ideas, these concepts that you execute. You create something out of nothing, or you take other materials and make something new out of them. The creation process is in your blood, and you love to do this, and you would do this probably whether or not you got paid for it. And that's sometimes the problem if you're leaning on your creativity for your livelihood. This sense of valuing yourself as a creator, as well as valuing what it is that you create. And this starts to cross over into some other things that probably need to happen in the world of therapy, to be honest with you, digging deeper as to why you approach things a certain way, what your true beliefs are about yourself, about your worth, about the worth of what it is that you create. I know we're going deep right from the beginning here, but there's a reason here, because one of the things that I've been seeing for a long time, and I've participated in this as well, is this thought of, well, I'm creating something and I really want validation. I really want someone to come along and buy this thing, or to tell me that this is good and encourage me to keep making more things, to keep going. And the problem is, if you outsource that validation and you outsource the sense of worth that you get as a creator and in what it is that you are creating, you're always going to be chasing something external. The real work is to do that internally, to realize your own worth, to realize the worth of what it is that you produce. And of course, you're going to grow and change as an artist, as a creative person. Your skill set is going to up level over time. The more that you do something, the better you get at it. That is a given in this process. And that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is really, how do you see yourself and how do you see your work? Even if you were just to answer and say, well, I think I do a great job at something. The true test comes when you end up meeting someone who is perceived as a gatekeeper, someone who has an opportunity that you would like to be a part of, and suddenly you're needing to be in this exchange with them as far as I have this skill set, I can create these certain things, and you have this opportunity. And I'm hoping that we can come together and find some kind of agreement and work this out to a fair advantage to both parties. But what ends up happening a lot of times, and I'm sure that if you have ever tried to market either a creative skill set or something that you've created, you have encountered this time and time again. It's the people who want you to work for free. It's the people who say things like, "Oh, well, my cousin can do something like that," or "Oh, I have a friend who does that, and it's so much cheaper than that what you charge," or all these type of statements. I mean, I've been to um, certain art markets and fairs and Comic-Con type events, and I've literally heard things come out of people's mouths as they're standing right in front of me, talking to somebody else as if I were not there, saying things like, "Oh, I don't. Why is this person charging this much? Like this looks like my kid could do it," or very demeaning type of things where they don't understand the value. And honestly, they're not your customer. They're not your avatar, if you will, your perfect person that you're trying to aim your creativity and your creations towards. And that's fine. That's okay, because you're not going to be for everyone. You don't want to be for everyone. You want to find your people and create out of the sense of who you truly are, what's really important to you, and then bring that out to those people and connect with those people over what it is that you've created. So getting back to the opportunities, what I see a lot is, now let's talk about if your creativity is more creative service, such as photography, videography, maybe it's copywriting, graphic design, illustration, these type of creative services where there's more of a marketplace transaction. And what will happen is someone will say, I need someone to do this creative service for me. I have this project. I have this this ongoing need, perhaps. Maybe it's a part-time gig. Maybe it's a certain project. And they'll put this out there and say, okay, I'm now receiving resumes and portfolios, and I want you to submit your application, if you will, for this particular position or for this project. And the temptation comes when you are in a place, perhaps, where you don't value what it is that you do enough, or there's a great need. Like there is perhaps some financial pressure. There is pressure for you to feel validated in what it is that you do. There is some kind of lack or need driving the bus a little bit more. There's almost this desperation where you think, well, I have this opportunity. There's perceived opportunity before me. I need to do anything possible to make sure that I land this gig, this project, this job, whatever that looks like. And a lot of times you can then outsource your power. You give your power away and you're willing to do things that you wouldn't normally be willing to do. This happens a lot in the dating world too, where if you don't see yourself in a certain light, you don't value yourself enough, you don't have enough self-worth, self-confidence, you don't know yourself enough, you feel like no one's going to love me. And when somebody finally comes along and you think there's some hint of something, you will do things that you would not normally do to win that person's love, affection, and approval. And many times end up in situations and in relationships that you have no business being in, to be honest. And this isn't a judgment thing. This isn't, I mean, I think we've all had experiences or maybe are experiencing some of these things right now in real time. But what I want to do is I want to peel back the curtain a little bit and have this kind of fireside chat, if you will, this little side conversation, and say, like, what if we put a little bit more effort into being self-aware? What if we stopped and just paused for a minute and examined what are our motivations here? What's driving us to do the things that we're doing, to make the decisions, to allow certain things to happen, or for us to engage with certain people. Now, going back to the marketplace situation and creative services, I want to share kind of a real-time story, even from my own experience right now. So part of what I do is graphic design. And if you didn't know that, that's what I went to School of Visual Arts for in New York City, worked in the field many, many years, worked for advertising agencies where there were clients like Heineken and Mobil and Chase, big corporate brands. Then I spent a lot of time in editorial design, magazine layouts. I did some packaging design. I was places where I was the art department. And so I've had a wealth of experiences over the years. And now typically I have my own private clients that I work for. And some are project based, some are more long term. And then I also had some contracts with some digital marketing agencies to assist them with some design. And so this year I had one of those contracts come to an end, and I was looking to replace this contract with something else so that there's more of a sustainable base for some of the design income that was happening. So I'm actively pursuing this. I'm sending out resumes for some of these positions and contacting people. And let me tell you that there is a lot out there that, well, leaves a lot to be desired. First off, if you're in this place where you are a creative professional and you are seeking a job, maybe it's full-time, maybe it's part-time, maybe it's a contract, maybe it's freelance, whatever that looks like, you know this, you've been experiencing this because everything is driven through AI in terms of certain keywords, even on your resume. The whole process is very much hands off until it gets to a certain point where then it becomes, you interacting with an actual human person. So getting through that can be a challenge. And then if you get through that, what ends up happening is a lot of times they want to, obviously they want to see your portfolio of work. Understandable. That's a part of this whole process. No problem there. They want to know your prior work experience. Of course, like I said, no problem there. This is standard. Then what ends up happening is you see a lot of these type of requests where people will say, hey, we want you to do a test project. And that could look like any number of things. Sometimes they want you to do a test project that is free. And you should really question this, because if there's somebody who is doing something where they're trying to get free work out of you and it's under the guise of them looking to fill a position, but maybe this position doesn't even really exist. Essentially what they're doing is they're just trying to get free work out of as many people as possible. And then they don't have to hire somebody. They don't have to pay for the work, the projects. And believe it or not, these things do exist. So you have to be really careful when it comes to accepting free work and projects. And again, know your worth, know what it is that you bring to the table, and stand in your power. Don't just yield and give it over to somebody else. Sometimes these test projects are paid. Perhaps it's a lower cost that they're willing to incur for this. And then it's up to you whether you feel like this is worth your time, abilities, and effort, and whether or not you have a true chance in winning this contract, freelance gig, part-time, full-time, whatever that looks like. And so there's a lot that goes into this process. And even getting to the point where, again, you get to speak with somebody and you actually have a perceived opportunity can seem like you're just going through a lot of kissing frogs, honestly. Again, going back to the dating analogy, you're trying to find, quote, the one, right? And you're like, man, this is, it's bad. It's really, really bad. The interactions I'm having, the dates I'm having, all these kind of things. And I can speak personally on this too, because being a single in my 50s, dating world has changed a lot since I last had to do that. Anyway, I digress. So the problem comes when someone says, okay, here's this opportunity, but we have all these hoops that we want you to jump through. And for you to think about and say, well, do I really want to do what it is that they're asking me to do? Now, back to my personal story. I had this opportunity that I applied for, and this particular organization wanted to do a test project, and they wanted 3 references. They wanted the resume, right? So on the front end, this seems like, okay, this is reasonable. The test project, maybe, maybe not. And they gave this test, but it was timed. It was an hour long, and they were not willing to let you know when this test was coming other than like you set up a time and basically they said, when we send this to you, we email this to you, then you'll have a list of questions and you'll know what this project is and you'll have to get this done within an hour's time span and send it back. That's your deadline, 1 hour to do this. Now, an hour of your time, if you're willing to do whatever it is that they're asking you to do and you feel like this is not something shady, okay, fine. So I'm thinking to myself, this is kind of interesting. This particular company is asking me to do this, and I'm like, all right, I'll play ball. Let's see where this goes. So I do this test, and this, they give you these questions to answer, and then they give you this small project to do, and all within the hour time spot, which is really difficult, honestly, to do all that. And there's a little bit of, I think, unrealistic expectation on their end as far as the quality that you can actually produce in an hour asking all these things. And so do this and then it's, they check the 3 references. I know for a fact that they contacted these people because they reached back out to me and said, hey, just so you know, so-and-so from such and such reached out. And I don't remember the last time somebody actually followed through with doing that, at least even with all 3 references that I gave, but whatever, it was fine. It was all on the up and up. And then came an email that said, thank you. We appreciate it. We're going to take things into consideration and we'll let you know. So a bunch of time goes by and then I get an email back. Hey, thank you so much. But, we've decided to go in a different direction, blah, 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 whatever. And that's fine. And there is something about this opportunity that, quite honestly, from the beginning was not sitting well with me because it was very lopsided in terms of the power dynamic. The ask from them was very much one that spoke of perhaps mistrust. Maybe they worked with somebody in the past and they got burned, and now they're coming at new potential people that they want to hire with this sense of, well, we can't trust. We need to micromanage. We need to be overly with the alpha energy, if you know what I mean. And I just didn't really have a great feeling about this anyway, to be honest with you. But I was going along with this to see where this would go. And if it came down to an offer being made, I would, at that point, make the determination. And I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus. I'm not mentioning who this company is and what they do, how they do it. That's on them. And that's well and fine if that's how they want to operate. I'm just saying, for me personally, this isn't something that doesn't align with my values, how I want to show up, and the energy of the people that I want to work with. I want to work with people who have confidence in hiring me to do a certain job and release me to do it because they believe in me, because I've proven that I can do this. And that's part of the other thing, is that this hour-long test was supposed to prove something to them as to capabilities. And after they sent this email, I actually responded back to the email again. And this is not out of like bitterness or any, anything like that, but simply to say, here's an opportunity for them to learn if they're open to feedback from somebody on the other side of their process. Because I know that if I have things to learn, I want to know. I want people to come to me and say things to me in a constructive way, helpful way, so that I can get better. And I thought, well, let me reach out and send some feedback. And they thanked me politely, but it didn't really land. And that is what it is. And that's fine. And, we'll part ways and so be it. But my thought was, they're asking for something to have you prove your abilities in a certain way. And I'm like, well, what about the 30 plus years of my design and my business and my portfolio? Like, I've proven myself through those things. Now, I understand that in this day and age, people can steal things from online and put them someplace on a website and claim all sorts of experience and skill sets that they don't really have. And then they can get hired for something. And then that company has to go through the process all over again once they find out that, oh, this person actually lied about all this and they can't really do what it is that we want them to do. I understand that. But I think swinging too far the other way also creates this sense of mistrust and does not start the conversation in a way that is attractive. Now, what they may end up doing is they may end up attracting people who are willing to kind of lay down and say, hey, whatever it is that you need me to do, I'll do. Because I'm a little bit more desperate, because I need a paycheck, because I need whatever. And that's no judgment against anybody in that category. Again, I'm not trying to stir up trouble there. But what I am saying is, like, know your worth, stand in your worth and your power, and don't give it away to someone else just because there's a perceived opportunity. You don't want to work with everyone. You want to work with the right people. You don't want clients and customers that are everyone. You want the right people to be purchasing from you and the right people to be coming around you in the things that you're creating. And so that they see themselves in what it is that you create. There's a resonance. There's something that says, when you create that thing, wow, like that speaks to me. Or that skill set that you bring to the marketplace, that really aligns with what it is that we need. And not just your skill set, but the way that you do what you do. Like, are you a creative person who is actually meeting deadlines and delivering what you promised? And maybe you're under promising over delivering, and you're a nice person to work with. All of these things factor into whether or not someone wants to work with you or not. And so stand in the power that you have as a creative person. Don't simply just roll over because there's a perceived opportunity. You are worth so much more than that. Believe in yourself. Believe in what it is that you produce as a creative person. And even though you're going to continue to grow, even though you may have these internal voices that say, well, I'm not as experienced as the next person, or I wish I had better skill set in this area, or my work doesn't necessarily look like what I see in my head. There's still that disconnect and gap. I'm still working on that. That is fine. Continue to work on the execution of what it is that you do, the technique, the skill that comes through repetition and showing up, which, by the way, is why I talk about daily creative habit all the time, because the more you're pouring into your skill set, the more you're pouring into the work that you're doing, the more that you're up leveling quicker, because you're not waiting so long between the moments that you're sitting down to show up to do the work. And so everything starts firing on all cylinders, and you're actually able to produce better work and then realize, like, oh, this is actually what I bring to the table. This is my area of expertise. This is my voice. This is my style. This is what I can do for somebody else in a creative service or in what it is that I'm creating and selling. Don't simply just roll over. Not every opportunity is an opportunity you have to say yes to. And I know that's especially hard when you're in a situation where you're like, dude, I'm broke. Like, I need to pay rent, or I need to get out of the situation I'm in. And so I'm willing to take things that are lesser than. I'm willing to do some things that I wouldn't normally do. And I think we all have moments where we either have to do that or feel like we have to do that. And it is what it is. Sometimes it's a season, but that's what I'm saying here is, don't get caught where that becomes something of how you show up, how you see yourself, how you see your work, because you're much more valuable than that. And just because someone has decided to make up the rules, you don't have to play their game. Keep looking, keep searching, keep putting things out there, keep making, keep showing up. And sometimes you're in the spot where you're creating something because you're like, hey, I need a paycheck. I need some income coming in. And then you have another thing that is like, this is really what I'm passionate about. I have conversations all the time about that. I have some areas in my own life where that happens in some things, where you need something that's maybe a little bit more marketable, if you will, to help fund some of the other things that are like passion projects and things that perhaps people aren't as ready to get behind, or maybe they haven't been validated or tested as much. Matter of fact, I was just listening to an episode of the Smartless podcast, which, by the way, if you're not familiar with this, you should go check this out. It's Jason Bateman and Sean Hayes and Will Arnett. They're hysterical. This particular episode that I was listening to had David Duchovny on, and he was talking about this whole idea of, doing, and it's not just him, but I've heard other people talk about this, where they do more bigger commercial gigs and maybe even sometimes commercials, then that helps fund some of the other passion projects that they want to see get done. And so it's like having your own patron funding things. Instead of asking someone externally, you're taking on some work that helps move some funds over and make it available to do some things that maybe have more meaning and purpose, but are less commercially viable. That happens, and that's legit. So what I'm saying is, be engaged, show up, know your worth, stand in your worth, keep working on your skill and your craft, level up as much as you can. And don't feel like you have to roll over and give away your power just because someone's asking you to. That actually can not only harm you, but it can also harm other people. This is how there's a race to the bottom when it comes to hourly projects, when people don't want to pay certain things because they're like, well, we can outsource that and someone's willing to work for, $10 an hour or $15 an hour. Meanwhile, that skill set should really demand something much more. And of course, it goes into what is your experience, what is your education, what does your portfolio look like? All those different things certainly play a factor in things. But don't simply feel like you have to play a game because somebody has set it up and invited you to the table. Don't give away your power. Stand in your power as a creative person. And maybe you'll be surprised to see what happens. You might have to hang on a little bit longer. You might have to endure some dark days or nights in the midst of trying to secure something that you're hoping to. But maybe there's another way. Maybe there's a part of your creativity that needs to be applied to the process of how you show up and who you connect with and the opportunities that you engage with, not just simply the work that you do and the creative skill set that you employ as your process. So I just wanted to share this. Really, it was top of mind. Again, this experience that I had with design just kind of underscored some of this. And I thought, I know this isn't something that I've experienced alone. There are other people. I have conversations also with friends who are in the industry and field and other creative people, even on the podcast. We've all had these experiences. And I think the more that we talk about it, the more we normalize the fact that this is a real thing that we have to deal with. And then also underscore again, we get to choose how we want to show up. And yes, there are circumstances. Yes, there are variables. But at the end of the day, you are responsible for you. Know your worth, know your power, and stand in that. And if you're looking for any design help, talk to me. I would love to have a conversation with you. If there's a project, if there's a company that you work with looking for some design help with contracts, reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation. But for you today, know your worth, stand in your worth, and go create something. Thanks for listening today. I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe, leave a rating and a review. It really helps this podcast be seen and heard by others.